Seems like a long time since I've made a video. Probably has been a long time. Guess I've been busy. Anyway, this is a video reaching a conclusion about something that we talked about, and you've written many letters and emails and messages about, and that is the greatest gun designer of all time. I've got all kinds of guns on the table, but not enough to cover the subject, but I'll do my best. And I do have a conclusion for you and a whole bunch of notes from the letters you sent. And I think you'll be interested in knowing who seems to be the greatest gun designer of all time, as well as what is the greatest rifle design of all time, which is also going to be interesting for you. But before I get underway, one of you out there has been trying to reach me, Trapper Joe. I apologize. I have no way of reaching you, so I get your message, but I don't know how to reach you. So, Trapper Joe, if you're getting this message, please try again and let me know how I can contact you. Also, for many viewers in Serbia, congratulations. Fantastic. Novak won the French Open today, so that was a big event. I know that many of you don't necessarily play or watch tennis, but I've always been involved in tennis in my adult life, so that's a big thing. All right, so we'll get to guns. So I have pages and pages of notes which will put you all to sleep, but in fairness to the people that wrote me essays on all the different gun designers, I thought I'll just do them some justice. I'll mention the name. There are so many individual designers that made an excellent design or two, which is a lot like novelists. It reminded me of books. There are many novelists that write one or two excellent books, and then you never hear from them again. And you always wonder, why didn't they write more? But sometimes there's just one book for whatever reason, or piece of music. It applies to all disciplines. And firearms and hunting, it's kind of a discipline. But I'll read off some of the names, and I think I went through some of these before, so you may hear names that you've heard before. Obviously, Samuel Colt, John Moses Browning, of course, Eugene Stoner, all the ARs that we're familiar with, Richard Gatling, and I tried to go into Google to match these things up, just in case it was a name I'm not familiar with, so if it sounds familiar to you, that's good. Christian Sharps. From Russia, Mikhail Kalashnikov, for obvious reasons. John Garand, or Garand, essentially one best-known rifle. Uziel, I hope I have that name right, for those of you that wrote me from Israel. Benjamin Tyler Henry, Eliphalet Remington. Obviously, we know Remingtons. John Thompson, the Thompson machine gun. Paul Mauser, Eugene Stoner again. David Williams, he made the floating chamber, M1 carbine, you guys know that one. Daniel Wesson, I guess Smith & Wesson. Horace Smith, also Smith & Wesson. Some names I don't know. Well, the Walker, Samuel Walker, the Walker Colt. I read a lot about John Blish regarding the resistant properties of slopes. Some people wrote me papers on that. John Forsyth, Dragunov from the sniper rifle, Thompson, Johnson again, Elmer Keith, Glock, Joseph Manton, Elisha Roof. I don't know. Like I said, it's been months. Richard Petter, another Russian, Gennady Nikonov, sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Joseph Egg, Ferdinand Mannlicher, Hugo Borchardt. That one, I got more than one letter on Borchardt. Arthur William Savage, 99. I mean, unbelievable individual design. Christopher Spencer, James Paris Lee, of course the Lee, and Sergei Simonov, and then a whole bunch of others, which I didn't put on this list. But the long and short of it is, the best designer, as far as I can tell, whose designs are still being made today, and I can give you a clue, this is This is an 1885 single shot 45-70. This is made by Mauser in Japan. It's a fantastically handy little 45-70. I can't actually think of a better bush rifle. And this is the same rifle in 6.5 Creedmoor. The action is identical. I could probably pull this barrel and swap around four ends and turn the 45-70 here into the 6.5 Creedmoor. Anyway, these are Browning designs, and John Browning is undoubtedly, this is no news to you, the best firearms designer. He made this one, which we've made videos about, 1895. This one's in 270, but they were made in all kinds of calibers, 405, 35 Winchester, 30-06. And it gives you a clue how great the designs are, that they're still being made today. They're being reproduced like right now. Thought I'd show you this beautiful SHOT Show Model 94, half round, half octagon barrel, 30-30. I think I showed you the carbine I have by Mauser, which I range tested, and it's easily my most accurate 30-30. I have a 25-35 as well, one of my favorite calibers. I mean, when you handle these Browning designs, of course we take them for granted, but for one mind to come up with all of these designs, it's out of this world. And he worked essentially at the time in the middle of nowhere. So you had a workshop, workbench like you might have and I have, and his brain. And he came up with all of these things, not just rifles, but here's the 1886. Some of you love, actually a lot of you love the 1886. And I had no idea how many people still hunt with 1886s. But I can tell you from the correspondence, it's not just a few. There are a lot of people, no scopes, just like this, except maybe the older model. This is a Mauser. I changed this stock around just because I didn't like the crescent butt plate. I told you about that before. 45-70, but people have 45-90s and all kinds of calibers that you can look up. Just a fantastic rifle. And of course the 1892. And again, these are all being made not just in Japan. Some were made in South America, and then there are a lot made in Italy, Chiappa, and those other companies. So, yeah, Browning, amazing, level of genius beyond belief. And not just rifles. This is just an example, but my Ithaca here, that's another Browning design, shotgun. My lever action, whatever it is, 1901. That's a Browning design. This one's in 20 gauge, but the 12s are available and being made again. So I mean, to this day, his designs are relevant, at least for hunters. And I guess I should qualify the video. We're not talking about military weapons, although John Browning made military weapons as well. The 50 caliber Browning machine gun, still out there, still working perfectly. And other people wrote me about the model 1919. There's just so much to go into, and I think you guys know more about it than I do. So yeah, I mean, oh, and then I can't not mention the Auto 5. Somebody always scolds me when I don't mention the Auto 5. So do I have an Auto 5? No, I don't have an Auto 5. It's in the vault, but I thought I'll take this one out. It's a Savage. I think it's a Model 755A. This is Savage's version of the Browning Auto 5. They were made by FN. They were made by Remington, and you've probably heard the story too many times that because of the long-standing relationship that Browning had with Winchester, he took his design for a semi-automatic shotgun to Winchester, but he wanted top dollar for his design. They declined. He went to FN and ultimately Remington. And actually to this day, I don't know that Winchester's ever really had a home run semi-automatic shotgun. Remington, of course, has made home runs with the 1100, 1187, and others, because they established themselves, I think, with Browning's design. So it was probably a good business decision to go with that. The Savage doesn't have the squared off receiver that you would recognize an Auto 5. It's long recoil. It takes a lot of energy to move that barrel, but that's how they work. What can I tell you about the Auto 5? Well, they rarely jam. Excellent shotgun. And somebody was showing me some other shotgun from Italy that was shooting. They said it shoots very fast. Well, they all shoot fast. The Auto 5 is no slouch, even after all this time. There's also a model of this called the Breda from Italy. It's also an Auto 5, essentially. That's probably my favorite of the different variants of the Auto 5. But I thought I'd show you this one. And for all the talk about Remington Auto 5s, try to find a Remington Auto 5. Not easy. And many people hunt with them still. So I think it's safe to say one can easily find evidence to show that John Browning was the greatest firearms designer. And a lot of you watch movies, a lot of you write me about different movies that you've watched with guns in them and so on. So I thought I'll draw the comparison between guns and movies. And if John Browning is, let's say, the best director, that doesn't necessarily mean he came up with Best Picture. And that one, I think you'll all agree, or most of you, the best individual design is not a Browning. It's actually the Mauser. That's probably the best picture. And this is a Brazilian Mauser. This is a very unusual rifle because I bought it as you see it. It's in 9.3 by 62. Has a bayonet. It came with the muzzle cover. At the time, the Mauser really changed everything. Could handle virtually any pressure. Was very easy to understand. Very easy to operate. Handled gas very well. I'm not sure if it was on Patreon or on the main channel, but those are gas relief ports. Nowadays we count on ammunition being more or less foolproof, but it wasn't always that way. So gas had to be handled, and the odd time things go wrong. Mauser handles gas, excess gas pressure beautifully. It almost never fails in operation. It will probably outlast every rifle that you could own. And in case there are any doubts about the supremacy of the Mauser, these are just a few examples. I originally had many more rifles laid out here. They're all Mausers in one way or another. This is the Model 30 Remington Express, which is really a modified Enfield. It's a Mauser. It even has the claw extractor. In some cases, royalties were due to Mauser, in some cases not. I don't know the details, but the Remington is a Mauser. This amazing Berno ZG47, you can always recognize them by the safety. That's a Mauser. And then I thought I better put on the table a pre-64 Model 70. That's a Mauser. You know, some modifications, it's got a cone breech. There are little things that were done over time, including to the Model 700 Remington, the Weatherby Vanguard. Just about any bolt-action rifle that's a turn bolt is essentially a Mauser, which is why it's about impossible to get around the Mauser 98 as being probably the best firearm. They just never stop working. And I think behind me, I tossed I actually had a Remington Model 7, but I've got a 600 instead. And I mean, it doesn't look like it, but the essential features of this little rifle are also Mauser. It's just everywhere. You can't get around a turn bolt. And then, of course, once Mauser had established the excellence of that concept, whether it's a hand operating this bolt or a gas mechanism, through an operating rod like the Garand, turning the turn bolts. Now granted, the Garand is at an angle, it's slightly different, but the concepts are there for those of you that know guns, and most of you do. So nothing too spectacular, no fireworks. John Browning, best designer, with all due respect to these amazing guys, and some of you wrote me things that I never even knew about these various designers, and they came up with remarkable things. But the rock solid winner of best design is the 98. In fact, I was handling a shotgun the other day based on a 98. It accommodated, it was a 20 gauge. It had a solid rib, and it shot very well, actually. I had no trouble hitting it. It might be a little slow for a shotgun for some people, not necessarily for me. Anyway, I know I didn't do the subject justice just because of the number of rifle and shotgun designers out there. We completely left out all of the detailed British developments that you wrote me about with regards to side-by-side shotguns, and there have been so many things done. But painting with a broad brush, the 98 is the winner as the best design, and John Browning was the best designer. And I'm surprised, actually, that he didn't come up with the 98. But he might have been thinking differently, not necessarily focused on one supreme military application, which is what the 98 was for. And you've seen these adopted by everybody, Brazilian, Argentinian, and so Mexicans copied it. There's a long list. I mean, this was, if this was a computer at the time, this was the Windows operating system. Just a remarkable, effective, to this day, system. And I guess maybe it's good to recognize that and see that in all the different designs that are coming out. Now, we have a whole bunch of other rifles, and one of them we're going to be looking at shortly is by SIG. It's just, it has no wood on it. It's an amazing new rifle. And it's still basically a Mauser. But anyway, we'll get to that. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been well and stay well. And we'll see you on the next video. Take care until then. Bye.